We are going to be continuing with our analysis on the ANC Women's League Conference that is underway, the 13th ANC Women's League Conference. We've got Dr. Levi Ndor. He's a political analyst, and he joins us perhaps to weigh in further as well. Very good afternoon to you, Dr. Ndor. Thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Good afternoon to you, Lisa. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We've just spoken to our reporter, Natasha Puri. She was joined by our political editor, Mzwai. And I wonder, on the back of what has transpired now that day 2 is kicked off for the ANC Women's League Conference, perhaps we could talk to what is currently transpiring in relation to them. We all do understand that the task team has since obviously led it when the executive term had expired. I wonder what the impact that that has had to date on its functioning.
Well, I think there are a few things that we need to observe. What you need to observe firstly is that the ANC would not just allow a situation where they have a conference that is surrounded by controversy. And I think what they are trying to do is to say the best thing is to go to a conference where we are quite very sure that all the ticks have been looked at, and no one will be able to come out of the conference and complain that there are certain things that have not been done properly. And I think that is why you have a situation where they have to allow all the small processes or all the other issues that might hinder the progress of the conference to be dealt with. But this has always been the case within the ANC. We have had a situation where, as alluded by Mzwandile, that the ANC conference took time to kickstart because of registration processes. We have still seen that in many provinces. It has been the case with many other conferences of the ANC. Those are the issues that, in my view, the ANC has to look at and ensure that they actually do things better, so that they do not have a situation where there are unnecessary delays that would actually take place in their conference.
Thank you for that context. I actually want to get into, what has transpired to date as we kick-started that 13th ANC Women's League Conference. Yesterday, the political report was also delivered by the task team convener, Balega Mbete, and I wonder, some of the sentiments that had come through there. She spoke about the issues of factionalism, which came to the fore during the Bulukwane conference. We're also looking at some of the priority areas and the relevance for the ANC at large. How would you weigh in on what was reflected during that political report?
The ANC Women's League has always been the vein of the ANC. The success of the ANC would always be derived from a very strong ANC Women's League. The ANC Women's League has always been there to carry over the struggles of women, not only those that are within the ANC, but even those that are outside the ANC. We have seen the ANC Women's League ensuring that all matters or challenges that affect women in South Africa, the ANC Women's League will always be on the forefront to deal with those issues. The ANC Women's League, it's also a breeding ground for young women and women in particular to be able to go and support the activities of the ANC, but also leading the ANC mother body. We have seen a lot of women who have occupied positions in the ANC Women's League, rising and lead in the ANC, as particularly in the National Executive Committee of the ANC. We have on numerous occasions as well seen the ANC Women's League being consulted or playing an important role in the runnings of the ANC policy direction. And that is why even today, you will see a lot of other women who occupy strategic positions in the provinces, also in provincial government and at local level. And these are the people that are actually coming from the ANC Women's League. So the ground has been there, prepared for the ANC Women's League to play a much bigger role in the politics of the ANC and that of the state in general.
So on the back of that, you've spoken about their role perhaps to improve electoral performance for the ANC at large, especially as we edge closer to the 2024 national elections. And you've also spoken about the incorporation of youth representation in the top structure, because this, the Women's League itself influences policy direction. So when we look at the forerunners and the contenders at this point, we've been seeing some last-minute horse trading and some mergers, and few forerunners also coming to the fore. Kunu, there's Batabile Dlamini, we've also got Balega Mbete and Sisi Tolashe. What do you think these women encompass? What do you think's also going to be their influence on how voting perhaps is going to go today?
There are many people who thought that when the ANC Women's League goes to conference, it will just be a smooth sailing and there will not be this kind of a hot contestation. And I think it's important to note that contestation in politics, it's a primary factor, and it actually enhances democracy in these political parties. But another aspect before we go to individual candidates is that there are some candidates, and the majority of them that are in contestation, that we thought they will not be contesting because they were part of the previous committee that was disbanded. The unfortunate part is that politicians themselves don't easily retire from politics. They actually stay longer, and if they're not being removed from office through democratic processes, they might stay on and on and on for a quite longer period of time. But Fikile Dlamini has been leading the ANC Women's League for some time. And in the political report that was presented, that is the Women's League that has done a lot of work and the programs that they actually developed. The Secretary General, Mbalula, has actually indicated some of the programs that they've actually come up with. The Molom Sobo program that was introduced by the Women's League, the introduction of the Young Women's League, and a number of other programs. Those are the programs that were initiated by women. But also, we have got CCC, and who has also been part of the leadership of the ANC Women's League for quite some time, and in the previous leadership. Bemkunu and many others who are going to form the national leadership of the Women's League. My sense is that it is possible for these women to be able to come together, have a discussion, and agree on leadership. They can still go on a voting. But what I think they should actually be looking at will be to come up with a very strong Women's League, so that at the end of the day, they will be able to claim their relevancy in the body politic of not the ANC, but of South Africa.
Just in conclusion then, we saw there have been some delegates from the Northwest not in attendance, and this has contributed to the late registration, perhaps also the delays at large, and how do you think this is going to impact the overall perception of what is transpiring this weekend?
There is a sense by many politicians that when there is an activity taking place of a political party, they always want to be part of history and make a contribution. And some of them will do so using illegal means, and some will do so in a manner that might be seen to be unacceptable to the organizers and to the general public. And those are the things that the leadership of the ANC and other political parties should be able to sit down and deal with. Because these are the issues, in my view, that has a potential to negatively taint the credibility of the conference. And these are the issues that at the end of the day might also create a situation where some people would say there were certain wrong people who attended the conference, who should not have attended. And unintentionally, these are the issues that has a potential to attract legal proceedings for conferences. And I think leadership must find better ways and means to deal with these kind of challenges so that they do not happen again.
Well, that conference is certainly underway for the weekend. We'll leave that conversation there for now. Dr. Levi Ndau, political analyst, really weighing in on what has been reflected since the start of the ANC Women's League conference. It is the 13th ANC Women's League elective conference that is taking place. We're looking at some of the forerunners and top contenders. As we heard also, the conference had been marred by some delays on day 2. Already the political report has also been delivered, looking at some of the priority areas as well, and the reality for the league at large, and really what role they're going to play for the ANC, perhaps in mobilizing and improving electoral performance as we edge closer to the campaign season and the national elections that are set to take place next year. Again, thank you to Dr. Levi for his time with us here on the SABC.